Hey, howdy, hey, friends, and welcome back to Locker Talk, where Emma and Giselle crack our locker codes from students to teachers to members of our community. Now, let's tune in to the second part of this locker, which is the counselor's office.
So you pointed out that it doesn't matter which counselor you reach out to, you get the answer. So how do we know what is our counselor, and does it really matter?
So yes and no, in a way. Mr. Bloor and I have always had the philosophy that we both will support all students. And, sometimes one of us will be busy and the other person's available. So students who would normally maybe be on my caseload might meet with Mr. Bloor, and sometimes relationships develop through that, and that's okay. Technically, Mr. Bloor has all of the 8th graders on his caseload. I have all of the 6th graders on my caseload. And then for 7th grade, Mr. Bloor has students with last names A through L, and then I have M through Z. But again, sometimes even adults in the building and teachers will get confused. And if we get an email that's for the other person, we just let the other person know. So no matter what, we will make sure that we get you the help that you need.
Say I have Mr.
Help
Bloor.
the both of y'all.
Yeah, and so say that I wanted to go see Miss Crawford, would that be okay? I just did not totally feel comfortable talking to Mr. Bloor. Would it be okay if I talked to you?
Yeah, that's another great question. So sometimes students, based on personalities or interests or other reasons, have a preference on who they would rather talk to, and that is okay. Mr. Bloor and I do not get offended at all. Again, it's making sure that all students get what they need. Mr. Bloor, do you have more you want to add to that?
I'm glad you asked that question, Emma, because it's true. Our roles for team meetings and duties for the school year, we like to have that caseload defined. So I've mainly worked with 8th grade, like high school transition. But there are 8th graders that will go talk to Ms. Crawford about something that they want to talk to Ms. Crawford about, and that's totally fine. We as a department want to be available to support every kid at Walton. And so sometimes that means overlap with counselors, and that is totally fine, as long as we're supporting all students.
This question is directly towards Miss Fernandez. What is your role as the counselor intern?
That's such a big question. I'll start by saying I'm a counselor intern part of the week at Walton, and the other part of the week I am a full-time graduate student at the University of Virginia. So I kind of have to weave both of those things together. Ideally, when you do an internship in counseling, you're doing what a regular counselor would do, with maybe more of an emphasis on developing your technical skills. And that means things like how to listen, how to speak, how to think about a case and make a plan for an individual or a group of students. Now, I had only half a practicum, and that was a semester at an elementary school before COVID hit. So that's all I have to compare my current experience against. But for me, the main challenge this year at Walton has been just a different level of access to students, which Mr. Bloor already has alluded to. It can be trickier to get them for things like a weekly check-in, or to run small groups on a special topic, or to teach classroom lessons. So we have to be patient, and we have to be persistent and very flexible.
Yes, what does your life look like as a college graduate at UVA?
Well, my typical day.
What did you graduate for? What was your degree?
Well, I studied Spanish literature when I was younger, and I studied public health as a graduate student as well, maternal and child health. And now I'm studying counselor education at UVA. And in terms of what it looks like, it's very busy, and there are always 1,000 things to do.
I can imagine. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bloor, we have a question for you that's kind of like a fun question.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So we know that you do cross country at Monticello. Can you tell us a little bit more in depth about the sport and how your role is in it?
Well, it's the best sport ever. No, I think all sports are great. Cross country, I heard this actually from Bronco Mendenhall once, who's the UVA coach. he just says, he's an educator and football is his trade. And I'm an educator and I happen to have grown up running and I love running. And I think a lot of people discover that it's just such a great, not only for physical development and fitness, but great mental fitness and development as well. It's such a great sport in that regard. And so that's why I coach it. And I do think it's the greatest sport, but I also recognize that other people might think other sports are the greatest sport because those sports do what's best for them. So my role as a head coach, I've been doing it for 17 years and I love it. I think I think sports is a great way for kids to learn. They're motivated to be there every day. They work hard. And I think they build tons of friendships in a sport such as cross country or any sport. And so that's why I coach. I hope I answered the question, Giselle. I can talk about cross country forever, so I could go on and on.
I think you gave more detail, which is awesome. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, track looks like a very fun sport.
I do want to distinguish track and cross country are different sports.
I know, I always get that messed up. But they both look very fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. And the nice thing is if you I'm also a believer in multi-sports. So, if somebody does a spring sport like lacrosse, cross country is available in the fall. And as you guys know, like field hockey is available in the fall. You can go do something else in the spring, like run track or lacrosse or soccer. So, but yes, I think cross country is particularly fun. I think those who like to run distance, I've heard comments that, running's boring. And I'm like, well, actually, kids get to go off campus and go run around Mill Creek. And quite often we'll go over to Monticello Trail. And so it's actually pretty freeing to be able to run cross country because you can get off that, 100 by 50 meter field that people are on for 2 hours at a time. So anyway, like I said, I could ramble on forever about this.
Yeah, that does sound like a really good experience. I like the trails behind Walton. Say you just wanted to go run, you wanted to run track, but you weren't the best competitor. Is there a way to do that but still be on the team?
Exactly why I love the sport, because the question to that, or the answer to that question is anyone can run. And we don't make cuts on our team. And it's about personal achievement. And I think that's one of the things in running. It's that you can have somebody running a 30-minute 5K and somebody running a 15-minute 5K. And if they're working their hardest, then they can achieve things that feel good for them. And that's what I love about the sport. So I always joke that, the JV athletes get more playing time than the varsity athletes because they're taking longer to run a 5K. But again, the personal achievement, I can name countless examples of kids who, trying to break 30 minutes in a 5K versus kids trying to break 20 minutes in a 5K. It's the same level of excitement and effort and all of those things that you can find. And I think that's pretty cool about the sport, that it's anybody can succeed at it and anybody can try out. So you gotta be willing to work.
I have one comment on that. Kind of like a question too. Has your season started?
Yes. So I think, as you guys know, because you're on field hockey, the cross country is a fall sport. And I think next school year, those sports will be back in a proper fall time. But we're on this hybrid schedule. So cross country season is almost over. We've got a few more weeks, depending on what our varsity athletes qualify for. But it was from February it's going to go until mid-April.
We have one more question for you, Mr. Bohr. What does the 8th grade transition look like with you helping out as a counselor? We heard you mention that's a focus that you take on.
That's a good question. You mean to high school? Is it from 8th grade to 8th grade?
Yes, 8th grade.
So it's a lot. And I will say, dealing with COVID times, there's actually less that we're doing. I want kids to visit the school, and we're still in the process of that. But as far as transition, with classes, that starts in October. I believe in October for me, the counselors are talking about establishing courses, but then in November, we have to get information out to the eighth graders and their families. So we started doing Zoom meetings, I believe in mid-November, just to give information out. And then parents have registered. I meet with each eighth grader individually for about 45 minutes to look at their classes and look at what they would like to select and sort of help develop a plan. So it's a lot of meetings, but I really enjoy it. Actually, I enjoy the eighth grade transition just because I can get some dedicated time talking to students, and sometimes students I don't talk to very often. But one thing that every eighth grader is going to experience is they're going to go to high school. And so I help them plan what that looks like. And so I actually really enjoy it. I enjoy being the eighth grade counselor each year, just because it's kind of an exciting time for those guys. And so it's busy and it's kind of wrapped up now. But pretty much from October to March, it's pretty busy trying to get kids registered.
I can imagine, but a very fun job.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you so much for meeting with us, all of you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Glad to.
Well, Wildcats, you know by now that we will give you a letter, a number, a symbol, or what to our combination. And last week you had 2 letters, so I hope you wrote them down. But this week you have just 1, and that is a W. So make sure to write it down so you can win a special prize.
Well, Wildcats, that's all. That concludes our 7th episode. Make sure you come back next time.
That's the combination to this locker.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.